Welcome to our World News Update for November 3rd, 2023. This is an update I had hoped I'd never have to give. However, here I am with information today showing this war the modern state of Israel is facing is now at our doorsteps. While I'll cover some elements of what's happening around the world, I'm going to first cover what's taken place in our own backyard. This week in Arkansas, something happened that you won't hear about in the mainstream media. I found out only because it affected some close friends of ours in the state of Arkansas. Our friend detailed it this way. A fellow employee came to me to tell me a man who worked here had seen men on a bus stuck in the Albert Pike area. He stated that these men seemed to not be American and spoke very little English. He believed them to be of Middle Eastern descent. He stated the men were off the bus at this time and had gear and backpacks. There were no women, no children, and no markings on the bus. Now, here are pictures of the stuck bus and some of the men that were on it. The reports given were that there was at least 50 men. Again, this happened just this week. He continued, the man also stated that unmarked vans with no license plates on them came and loaded the men up. The young man then stated it was all pretty eerie. His wife said to me about the situation, my husband called me immediately to tell me about a coworker seeing a bus full of men on a local mountain. He asked if I had seen anything. I said no, but I will begin checking social media platforms. In doing so, I found statements from the Montgomery County Sheriff, Howard County Sheriff, citizens who lived in the area, and concerned citizens in the county, along with pictures of the event. As I began to ask around, people were extremely concerned with what they were seeing. This area is not a location you would take a commercial tour bus. From reports, the men had a jug of water in a Walmart bag, rain gear, and camping-style backpacks. We are now being told this happens more often than we know. The only reason this one came to light was because the bus broke down and got stuck. Many in the community are upset with being told this is normal, as they have lived here all their lives and have never seen passenger buses on these roads. They feel they are not being told the truth, with one citizen stating, we would protect you and we expect the same from you. Just be honest with us. This was a response to the sheriff. The officials later said this was a church group. A church group in a completely unmarked bus, then later taken away in unmarked white vans with no license plates. Ladies and gentlemen, if you believe this war is going to stay in Israel, you are sadly mistaken. This is not just about the modern state of Israel. This will be taking place in America and much of Europe just the same. Now, why do I say that? Because of what we read in Ezekiel chapter 5. After the 40-day siege surrounding Jerusalem, whenever that may be, the war will branch out to the whole house of Israel. It says a fire will spread from there to the whole house of Israel. That's the southern and the northern kingdom of Israel. It won't just be happening in the southern kingdom of Israel, who many today call the Jews. Thus, this will be taking place in America and much of Europe just the same. And don't think it's only going to hit the big cities. Small town America will be hit just as hard. What was seen in the mountains of Arkansas could be the evidence of what many have been calling sleeper cells now getting into position. Radical Islam doesn't just hate Israel. They hate any and all who support Israel. In fact, while radical Islam calls Israel Little Satan, They call America the Big Satan. Regarding the war in Israel, it was just reported today that Israel has all but surrounded the northern half of the Gaza Strip. In fact, they've said how they'll have it completely under siege within 2 days. Now, I found it interesting they used that terminology, under siege. The same language used regarding what will happen to Jerusalem as noted in Ezekiel chapter 4. Now, while things may be looking good for Israel right now, let it be known, the tide will turn against them. They're depleting the majority of their arsenal for the Iron Dome on a daily basis against missiles that are only worth $5,000 to $15,000 apiece. This is by design. Once the Iron Dome is depleted, the surrounding armies will bring out the missiles the Iron Dome was designed for, but will be useless at that same time. A certified military can only do so much against guerrilla warfare. The U.S. learned this in Korea. When the enemy goes in the back door of a house, drops his weapon, and walks out the front door claiming he's a civilian, you don't know who the enemy is. Now, I know some would say, Israel has God on their side. They'll never lose. If that's your mindset, I strongly encourage you to read the prophets Ezekiel and Zechariah. They show judgment is coming to the land of Judah. Judgment is coming to all who reject the ways of God. Thus, the whole house of Israel will face judgment. Exactly how it will all play out is yet to be seen. Hezbollah is saying they're giving an ultimatum to Israel by 3 p.m. on Friday, their time. So, by the time you see this update, there's a good chance something has already come about with that. Also, this week, the Iraqi resistance told America to remove its troops from Iraq or else. Plus, we saw where Yemen declared war on Israel this week as well. With Yemen getting involved, many don't realize their ultimate goal could include attacking Saudi Arabia. Yemen may ultimately be wanting to impact the oil being sold to America, since Saudi Arabia sells to the U.S. And Yemen does not have a good relation with Saudi Arabia as it is. One thing is for sure, things aren't slowing down. However, while Israel feels justified in their actions of this war, their popularity is dropping by the day. And for every Hamas terrorist they kill, they're only creating more terrorists by default. The whole Middle East is growing into a huge powder keg with each passing day. The question everyone is either asking out loud or pondering in their mind, could this really be the start of the end times? As it is, prophecy students around the world are all trying to see how this situation in Israel fits into their end time paradigm. Jordan has withdrawn their ambassador from Israel and also expelled the Israeli ambassador from there. Please know, Jordan is a country to watch as it officially owns the West Bank, the land that literally surrounds Jerusalem. So when you see Jordan make a public declaration of war against Israel, that will be the nation through which all Islamic nations will surround Jerusalem. Speaking of declaring war, as of November 1st, the U.S. has all but declared war on Iran. How? Through Resolution 559. The summary reads as, declaring it is the policy of the United States that a nuclear Islamic Republic of Iran is not acceptable. I'll post the link to the resolution below. However, let's read the closing statement of that resolution. Now therefore, be it resolved that the House of Representatives declares it is the policy of the United States, 1. That a nuclear Islamic Republic of Iran is not acceptable. 2. That Iran must not be able to obtain a nuclear weapon under any circumstances or conditions. 3. To use all means necessary to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. And 4. To recognize and support the freedom of action of partners and allies, including Israel, to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Again, number 3. To use all means necessary to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. In other words, the U.S. has all but declared war on Iran. Exactly what the next phase is going to be is yet to be seen. As it is, I say keep our eyes on the Temple Mount. I personally believe we will see something happen there to be what causes Jerusalem to literally be surrounded. As always, we don't know the future, but we know the one who does. So, let's make it a point to pray as we walk through our everyday routines. Make more time to read. Let's make it a point to invest more time into our relationship with our Heavenly Father like never before. That way, regardless of what lies ahead, we know we're in good company. Keep your hearts humble in Him as we all learn and grow together in His Word. Blessings and shalom.